Why? Why should I do it? Why should I go on Twitter? Why should I do this and not something else? Or you know, I'm on Facebook. It works this way, but Twitter it works in another way. Isn't it a waste of time? You know, why networking?
Well, it depends on each individual. You can't give one catch-all answer to that, because for someone it may be they want to generate more business and they need to raise their profile to generate that business. For someone else, they've got ideas but they need feedback on them, they need support, they might need a little bit of guidance. You know, if you work in a big company, you may need a mentor. So Twitter may not be right for you, but it's right for someone else. So there's not one catch-all answer. But why networking? I'd simply say because, you know, John Donne said, a famous English poet, wrote a poem in the 18th century that started out, "No man is an island." And, you know, where people try and do things on their own, they're going to repeat mistakes that others have already made and could have made their life easier by saying, don't do it that way, because this is what will happen. And share what, you know, their experiences were. They're going to, you know, the classic example, if you're trying to sell to a big company and you start out from cold and you try cold calling, you know, and you have to find out who the right person is, and you have to get past their receptionist, their PA, you have to get their interest when they don't know why you're calling. You have so many obstacles to overcome before they're interested in buying from you. But if you know someone who knows them, who they trust, and who can see up why they should want to talk to you, you don't have any of those problems.
You have on your website a CD called "How to Get Work Using Your Network."
Yeah.
So I see there that there is not just a way to networking is not just for people that have something to sell, but it's for people that have a request, that they look for work. Yeah. And this is one of the main changing that we have in the last few years with internet, is that how you are in the internet can help you finding a new job. The way you connect with other people can help you find a new job, but in the same time I have the impression and that there is a problem there, and it's that if you are not careful the way you present you on the internet, you can destroy everything you could do in the future. So how people have to pay attention to that? Is it true you have to be careful about it, or because you have your reputation?
Your reputation.
And if you lose it, you're gonna wear.
And I think we have to realise we are in a different age where everything we do on the internet stays on the internet and can be found, whatever we think about the privacy settings in various sites. And I despair sometimes. You know, I see a young friend of mine he was in a job he hated. He's an airline steward, and the airlines made a lot of people redundant, so for a while he worked for a big mobile phone shop, and every day on Twitter and Facebook he was just so negative about his company and his job. Now if I was going to hire him in the future and I did my due diligence and I saw that, how am I going to think about if I hire him? You know, so I think you have to be careful. What interests me is that there's been a lot of newspaper stories about students being thrown out of college because of things that they've done, which have been on Facebook and the college have seen. People not getting jobs or being fired from their jobs because of what they've said. I mean, the classic story was the person who, I think it was a woman, who criticised her boss on Facebook and said some very nasty things, forgetting that she'd added her boss as a friend on Facebook, and he sacked her on Facebook. there's a comment to her quote, what she said. So I think there's a lot of stories about that. However, and no, actually, before I give you the however, and therefore we have to be sensible about what we put online. And we have to think it through, and we have to be mature, and we have to be adult about it, and we have to think, how do we represent ourselves generally? However, this is the bit you've been waiting for, however, we have a new generation coming through, a generation who have been brought up with social media, who live their lives through social media. I see what my friends' kids say on Facebook, and you or I probably definitely wouldn't say those things on Facebook, but for them it's commonplace. So as they come into the workplace and that becomes the norm, and then they move through to managerial level, I think we'll see less credence being paid to what people say about themselves on the internet. So I think that, you know, we'll get to the point where you wouldn't employ anyone if you search the internet, because their whole lives will be exposed. I'm not saying that's a good thing, and I'm not using that as an excuse to go and expose all on the internet. But I think that in time, and it may take a couple of generations, what people say on Facebook and elsewhere will have less impact on their future career. And I would certainly hope that anyone employing someone in their mid to late 30s and beyond wouldn't pay too much credence to what they put on the internet as an 18-year-old. Because otherwise you don't accept that your team, your staff have had a life. So I think you do have to be aware of it, but I think it will peter out over the generations.